Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have a special bonus episode where we're going to talk about Netflix 2024 romantic comedy called A Family Affair. This one is directed by Richard LaGravenese and stars Nicole Kidman, Zac Efron, Joey King, Kathy Bates, Liza Koshy, Jetton, and Sherry Cola. Sounds very much like Cherry Cola. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. Thanks for joining me for this bonus episode. As always, if you are keen on checking this one out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on because we will spoil it as we go. And we do start the show with the fast flick. So this is where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one is about a wannabe movie producer who is sick of her big star client, but he ends up falling for her mum, making it a very complicated situation. All right, this obviously doesn't sort of sound like my cup of tea to be doing a bonus episode on, but big shout out to Nick. This is a pre-service teacher I worked with a few months ago who put this on my radar and said, hey, do an episode on it, do a bonus episode. So I do hope Nick is listening to this, but let's talk about how this one ended up on Netflix. So on Netflix, Netflix original film, big stars, big cast, big movie. What happened? June 14th, 2022, we go back. Nicole Kidman, Zac Efron, and Joey King were revealed to be in the cast as the three leads. And then in August of 2022, so 2 months later, Kathy Bates and Liza Koshy were reported to join the cast. It was later disclosed that the film's original title was Mother Effer. Joey King's character was inspired by Pamela Adby, who's a friend of the director, Richard LaGravenese, who is currently the co-chair and co-CEO of Warner. So that's, obviously sort of based this on what happened to her, I guess. Filming did take place in Atlanta from August to October of 2022. And then during the production or the post-production phase, a reshoot was conducted over 2 weekends in Malibu, California, after the 2023 WGA strike and the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike to capture a new ending. So the film initially had a different finale. So early in the film, we see Chris, played by Zac Efron, takes Brooke, Nicole Kidman, on their first date to a Hollywood backlot where they dress up in top hats and pose with retro feather fans, which the director actually says is a nod to Nicole Kidman's 2001 film Moulin Rouge, if you've seen that one. For a while, the movie sort of ended with them reconnecting on that same soundstage, but after shooting the movie and seeing it, the director said, we realized that the ending didn't satisfy us emotionally. It was too tropey and not tropey enough. It also didn't incorporate Zara enough and didn't give us the right cap to her journey. So the new ending was filmed at this supermarket in Malibu where the cast and crew were given a tab to anything they wanted in that store while they were filming. The director said, it was like having your own pantry the size of a grocery store. I remember by the end of the day, Nicole Kidman was like, I could really go for a kale chip. And they're like, aisle 3. We're all just kind of running around between shots shopping. It was a really goofy thing. Talk about wish fulfillment. So that's a nice little story. The film was meant to be released on Netflix on the 17th of November 2023. But the release of the film was postponed due to the impact of that SAG-AFTRA strike that we spoke about before and impacted the promotion. So it was rescheduled to the 28th of June 2024, and that's where we are now. Translations around the world. So in French, this one is called The Underside of the Family. Hate that title. And in Polish, it's called Family Matter. Nah, this isn't really a family matter, to be honest. As I said before too, the working title, the original title was Mother Effer. It did also go under the untitled Netflix romantic comedy, and the tagline does keep a little bit of that original title in there too. The tagline is a mother effer of a love story. All right, what are the critics and audiences saying early on about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, it sits at 43%. That's on 53 reviews, so that is definitely rotten. The audience, even lower at 33%. That's on more than 250 ratings. 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb on 6,500 ratings. Again, on that lower end side. And Letterboxd as well, very low. 2.3 out of 5 on 22,000 ratings, logged by 26,000 people. We do have a Metacritic score early on for this one. Metacritic, it sits at a 44 out of 100 on 19 critic reviews. That is yellow on the traffic light system. And the audience has it at 4.6, only on 9 reviews. But that is also yellow on that traffic light system. What are my early thoughts for this one? This is the type of film that I loathe. Romantic comedy, overproduced, overacted, super cheesy. but surprisingly, I didn't get any of those feels watching this film. I was in from the get-go. I enjoyed the warm moments, and I sort of walked away with a smile on my face, which really surprises me. So let's get into the characters in this film. Brooke is Nicole Kidman. She's a writer. She's been a dedicated single parent since her daughter's father passed away. She's struggling with her writing at the current stage, but also wanting company, and that's sort of where this Chris Cole character comes along. But before we get to Chris, we're going to talk about Zara, her daughter, Brooke's daughter. She's disgruntled in her life because she wants this career in the film industry, but she's stuck doing menial assistant jobs for this Chris Cole guy. Her mum sort of does everything for her and bounces ideas for her and all that sort of stuff. She still lives at home with mum, but Chris, obviously, who she works for, is this entitled celebrity, I guess, who also has his own issues. He's got to deal with his own insecurities of not fitting in or being able to hold down any sort of connection with anyone. And at part, this is due to the fame that he does hold. He sort of treats Zara like crap. He's constantly threatening to fire her, and it's very clear why he has no friends. But deep down, you can tell he's never really fitted in anywhere. And this probably goes back to that escapism of his mum and his brother passing away when he was younger too. I probably gave him a bit more depth of a character than the film actually did. Layla is one of my favourite characters in this film. Kathy Bates, Brooke's mother-in-law, or not by law, not quite really a mother-in-law, and she was Brooke's editor to her writing prior. She's the scene stealer throughout this film. She's got the advice and the care to see Brooke's happiness as the most important thing, and also her own happiness too, and her own discovery of grief and moving on to losing her son. The two other side characters, Eugenie and Stella. Eugenie is Zara's best friend who's having her own dating issues and is neglected by Zara for most of the film. And Stella's this other friend who's trying to break into the film industry as a writer, but is stuck doing jobs like walking celebrities' dogs and cleaning out their wardrobes for them. So they play that little side role to sort of show us towards the end, I guess, that Zara is not a very nice person. The director, Richard LaGravenese, best known as a writer, I guess, for films like Disenchanted, Unbroken, that Angelina Jolie World War II film, Behind the Candelabra, the HBO film as well as Water for Elephants, the one with Robert Pattinson. Done a few writing and directing co-roles too. So did Freedom Riders. That was a big film when it came out. The Beautiful Creatures film, as well as that other rom-com, P.S. I Love You. So quite a good catalogue there for the director. Let's talk about the scenes. What are some scenes that I enjoyed? Some standout ones for me. There's quite a few. I enjoyed a lot of this. So Brooke tells Chris that she's Australian. And obviously Nicole Kidman, we know, is Australian. And his first response is, do you know Margot Robbie? I thought that was funny. And she's like, no. And his first response is, I do. Sort of shows his cockiness straight away. Chris tells Brooke that she smells nice. And they both talk about the sunscreen that he can smell. It was quite funny. Zara walks in. This is one of the highlights of the film. Zara walks in on her mum, Brooke, and Chris in bed. That wasn't necessarily the funny part. The funny part was her reaction. She sort of like chokes and knocks herself out on the door frame and then wakes seeing Chris's naked body above her, and she's like, Chris's skin's so close to mine, get him away, and she's like gagging. I thought that was very, very funny. And I guess that sort of comes down to Joey King's performance. There's a scene where Brooke refers to her sex with Chris as like the time Zara got her eyebrow pierced when she knew that her mum wouldn't like it. So just that idea that this is her rebellious stage. Chris asks Brooke to get out of the car after she's sort of, come back from hospital because, Chris wants to talk to Zara. And Brooke and Chris are all lovey-dovey, and Zara's just like, just get out of the car. You're not Jack and Rose. I thought that was a good little line. I liked Zara telling Chris not to shoot the gun on set, as our country has a problem with guns. I thought that was relevant. Chris says the director, there's this French director that he's working with, doesn't like her. And he's like, the director called me fat. And Zara's like, she asked if you were hungry. That was funny. I liked when Brooke asked Chris if he gets tired of playing the same guy. And his response is like, yeah, but he's appreciative of the guy because the character is the reason he got to where he is and the only reason anyone cares about him. I thought that was a nice moment. The argument between Brooke and Zara at the ball, good backwards and forwards about intellect, feelings, not measuring up, comparing to Dad who'd passed away, those types of things. I thought that was a good, impactful scene. I liked when Chris and Brooke decided that he shouldn't come to Christmas because of the awkwardness with her daughter Zara, and then on the phone he's like, I love you, and she's like, bye. That made me laugh. Grandma Kathy Bates having that conversation with Zara while making the bed about her mum's happiness. I thought that was really nicely done. I really liked the gift that Chris gave to Brooke where he compiled all her writing into the one volume. I just got really nice sweet vibes. There's a conversation between Zara and Chris in his trailer towards the end where he's like, what business do I have in playing a good guy? Because I'm not a good guy. I'm always running from something that's too good for me. I thought that was nice as well. The grocery store at the end, the mist on the veggies and the thunder over the speakers. I thought that was funny. And the final shot, Zara in her new big office with her own assistant, and Chris comes in and asks if he's ready for the night shoot, and she says, "I've never seen you stay awake all night," and his response is, "That's not what your mum says." Funny. And then that's not what I mean. And then she's like, "Get out." I thought that was great. So things that I didn't really like in this one, I guess the film really struggled until Chris and Brooke met towards the start, I guess. Before that, all pretty ordinary. The montages, there were way too many of them. And the only other thing, I guess, Zara rocks up with her friend, trying to get into this ball and not being on the list. That just wasn't funny at all. All right, what's this film trying to say? What are some themes, some ideas, some motifs? Don't judge a book by its cover, even if the pages on the inside are pretty rough at times. Parents. Parents are people too. They deserve happiness. You shouldn't let someone else's happiness impact your own too. And the role a parent plays in putting children first and trying to work that fine line of when their own needs and desires can come into play. And that constant worry of kids trying to compare themselves to their parents and feeling like they are a letdown. And don't let concerns about the future stop you from enjoying the present. Be yourself. But also make sure you tell the truth. And people who work hard deserve further opportunities. That self-absorption idea too, whether that is with what your mother should be to you, or your friends, or your colleagues. And that idea too, don't lie. Love obviously appears in the strangest of places, and also womanhood, wanting things, standing up to society. I liked all that too. All right, what did I take away from this one? I think this is the perfect film for Netflix. It's got a medium budget, good cast, not too serious. This is where they need to focus their work, I think. I really think that's a good thing. IMDb. Do we jump onto IMDb to check anything out? I wanted to look up Icarus because obviously it's a big part about the character that Zac Efron's character plays throughout the film, and that idea of flying too close to the sun. And Chris was obviously doing this for so long, so I thought that was an interesting little thing too. All right, any questions, any ponderings, any thoughts, any ideas? Is this a Christmas film? Yay or nay? I don't know. I'm not sure. Obviously, it's probably as Christmassy as Die Hard, so that's probably not too bad at all. That idea, is the relationship between Brooke and Chris in the film believable? I'm not sure. I think, the age difference is obviously something that's really, really sort of stands out, but I think they both did a good enough job in the film too. All right, Brooke, there's a scene where she says she broke her hand playing football. Surely this is Australian rules football. Like, what team would she have played for? If you're an Australian person, you're probably thinking maybe the Melbourne Demons. She sort of fits that category. And finally, this is Zara at the grocery store at the end. She drives Chris and pulls into this car park. That is one of the worst car park jobs I've ever seen. Like, they couldn't have been serious that they actually had a shot of how crooked her car was. That was really frustrating. All right, I'm ready to wrap this up. We give the film a rating out of 5. For me, surprisingly, it worked well. I'm on board. I enjoyed some of the laughs, the tender moments. I highly recommend this one. So I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5. Pretty solid for me. We're on socials. We have Facebook. We have Instagram. We have Twitter, or now known as X. The question I wanted to put out with the post for this episode is, how do you make life bearable for kids who miss their parents? Obviously, a big part of this film about Zara missing her dad and what her mum means to her too. I don't have an answer, but I think that's a nice little thing to ponder. As always, we have a huge back catalogue of 350 plus episodes from the Netflix original film catalogue. So give us a search, give us a download if you can, give us a like on socials, and we're back on Monday with our regular episode. Thanks for hanging out today.